They're called suckers. It's common for trees or plants to produce them. They're shoots that grow from the base of a plant, and suckers are usually removed because they sap energy from the main plant and don't produce flowers or fruits. It's good gardening. When you see shoots or sprouts that are hindering an otherwise fruitful branch from bearing even more fruit, it's best to remove them. In John chapter 15, Jesus says, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful." Here, of course, Jesus is not talking about plants. He's talking about people. He's talking about his people. Just a few verses later, he makes a promise. When we are connected to him by faith, we will bear much fruit. We will produce the God-pleasing good works that he desires. But just like the branches Jesus mentions, we often find suckers in our lives that hinder us from being even more fruitful. Maybe it's a schedule that we have packed so full that we find little or no time to serve our Savior or even to help a friend in need. Maybe it's a sin that we just can't seem to keep away from or don't want to, that overwhelms us with guilt and shame and leaves us unfruitful. Maybe it's misguided priorities that has us devoting our energy and our heart to other things rather than our calling to love God and neighbor. Watch out for suckers, and thank God for his pruning. It may be a friend or family member or pastor who points out the sucker that is keeping you from being more fruitful. But they are only echoing what God himself tells us in his word. Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. If plants or trees could talk, they might complain when these suckers are pruned away. We know the pain involved when God confronts us with our sin and goes to work with his pruning. But God doesn't leave the cut exposed. He covers it over with his grace, with the comfort of the forgiveness that Jesus won for us and for all. And with the suckers removed and the cuts carefully dressed in God's love, we are strengthened and equipped to bear much fruit, just as Jesus promises.